You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
I never asked for much. I don't really need to. It's just me, my work, and my family. Simple stuff. Been working at the shop for 20 years now, fixing cars, keeping the place running. It's a small, family-owned operation. Nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. I'm 42, and I don't mind the sweat on my brow. It's my job, my duty. Keeps the bills paid, puts food on the table. I've been married to Anna for 18 years, and she's an interior designer. She's good at it. Too good, sometimes. We've got 2 kids, a son, Jason, who's 14, and a daughter, Emily, who's 11. They're good kids. No real complaints there. I try to make it to their school events when I can, but, hell, I'm busy. Anna's career's been taking off these last few years. She's always got something going on, some big project, some new client. Me? I just show up to work every day, put in my hours, and go home. Tonight, we're at some dinner party with her friends. All of them in their expensive clothes, talking about their latest trips, their vacations in Europe or wherever. They all look down on me without saying a word. It's in the way they talk to Anna, how they don't quite look me in the eye. It's fine. I'm used to it. Anna's talking about her latest project, how much she's killing it in the business. I mean, Mike's paycheck is cute, right? Like a starter pack, she says, laughing. The group chuckles. I feel it hit me like ice water running down my back. I don't say a word. I just pour more water into my glass. They all keep talking, like it's some inside joke they're all in on. Like I'm not even there. The laughter feels sharp, but I don't let it show. Anna's still talking, and I don't even hear her anymore. Just the sound of my own pulse in my ears. I keep my face blank. I don't do anger. I don't do anything. Just sit there. Watch. She's proud of herself. She's got every right to be, I guess. But that joke made my insides go cold. And I'm still just sitting there, nodding, pouring more water into my glass. On the drive home, Anna's voice cuts through the silence, a little too high-pitched for someone who's had one too many glasses of wine. You know I was just kidding, right? She laughs, glancing over at me. You're too sensitive sometimes. I don't answer. I just keep my eyes on the road. I can hear the hum of the tires, the engine's low growl. Her words don't really land, not anymore. They just float in the air, weightless, like they never mattered. She keeps talking. You know I didn't mean it like that. We joke around like that, don't we? I don't even nod. My grip on the steering wheel tightens, but I don't feel angry, not exactly. It's more like a slow burn that's building inside me. The sting from the joke is still there, and I can't shake it. I know she thinks I'm fine with it, just like she always does. And I always let her think that. The car's headlights cut through the dark as I focus on the road. It's quiet in the car except for her soft muttering. She's tipsy, maybe even a little more than that, but I'm sober. I'm always sober. When we get home, I don't say anything. I just go inside and start taking off my boots. She's in the kitchen, rummaging through the fridge, too loud, too careless. I can hear the clinking of bottles, the sound of her digging around. But I don't react. The next morning, I wake up earlier than usual, before the sun's even fully up. The house is still. Anna's still asleep, and the kids are quiet. I sit at the kitchen table with my phone, checking the joint account. My stomach drops when I see the balance. It's low. Too low. I'm not surprised. I've seen it before, but today it feels different. I scroll through the transactions. Her spa days. The shopping sprees. Every goddamn vacation we've gone on in the last few years. I've been covering it all. Every last cent. I've kept the house running, the bills paid, the kids and their activities. I've never said a word. Not once. I run a hand over my face, feeling the weight of it all. My mind's already working, calculating, ticking through the steps. This time, though, I'm done being quiet about it. I don't need to keep pretending. Without saying a word to Anna, I go online and set up a new account. It's in my name, just mine. No joint bullshit. I remove my name from our shared savings account. I transfer my paychecks into the new account. No more letting everything sit in limbo. No more pretending things are fine when they're not. It feels like breathing for the first time in a long time. I don't feel guilty about it. There's no anger, no big confrontation. I just move the money, one click at a time. It's simple, really. I'm just taking care of myself for once. I don't make any big moves or tell anyone. I don't need to explain myself. It's just something I'm doing. For me. A few days after I moved the money, Anna tried to buy a new pair of shoes at some boutique downtown. I wasn't there, but I heard about it when she got home. She told me how her card got declined. She brushed it off at first, said she must have hit her limit or some crap like that. But then she tried a second card, and it got declined too. Anna started getting nervous. I could hear it in her voice when she texted me. Something's wrong with the bank. My card got declined. Can you call them? I didn't answer. I was busy. She hated that I didn't answer. I could feel it, even though I didn't look at my phone. I let her sit with it for a while. A couple of days later, we were at brunch with the same group from the dinner party. Anna was still trying to play it off, like everything was fine. She wanted to show them she was still on top of everything, still the one in control. The check came, and without thinking, she reached for it. She swiped her card, smiling like she always did, like nothing had happened. The card got declined again, right in front of everyone. There was a moment of silence, and then Anna laughed. It wasn't real laughter, though. It sounded forced. She waved it off, saying, "Must be something with the bank. I'll call them later." The group of friends, the same ones who'd laughed about my paycheck the other night, exchanged glances. They weren't laughing this time. I saw it. The way their smiles tightened, the way the conversation shifted just a little. Anna's confidence, the one she wore like armor, was starting to crack. I just sat there, sipping my coffee. It was all so obvious now, watching her try to keep everything together, pretending like nothing was wrong. I didn't feel sorry for her. I just watched. I could feel the tension rising in the room, but I didn't make a move. The others didn't know what to say. I could see them trying to figure out if they should acknowledge it, if they should talk about it. They didn't. The waitress came back and handed Anna the check. She tried another card. It was declined too. This time, I saw the panic in her eyes. "Okay, well, I'll just call the bank and get this sorted out. No big deal," she said, trying to sound casual. But I noticed how her voice wavered, how her hands shook as she held the card out. No one said anything after that. Everyone just went quiet. I didn't speak up, didn't try to fill the silence. I just kept my eyes on my coffee. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. I saw how they were starting to look at her, how her confidence, always so perfectly put together, was cracking in real time. I didn't feel bad for her. I wasn't angry. I just watched. Later that day, Anna left for the gym. I knew she needed to blow off some steam, especially after brunch, but I didn't expect the shit show that followed. She came home a couple hours later, looking like someone had punched her in the stomach. She didn't even say hello, just walked straight past me into the kitchen, slammed her gym bag on the counter. I could hear her muttering under her breath, but I didn't ask. It was only when she went upstairs to change that she finally explained. The gym had denied her entry. Her keycard didn't work. The receptionist told her the account was inactive. I watched her face as she told me about it. The way her eyes darkened. The gym was one of her status symbols. That place wasn't just a gym to her. It was a reflection of who she was, what she had. And now, it had refused her entry. She had nowhere to hide the humiliation. "I don't get it," she said, more to herself than to me. "There must be a mistake." I didn't say anything. I just nodded, though I knew what had happened. All those little moves I'd been making, the ones she couldn't see, they were starting to add up, and I could feel it. That evening, while she was still stewing about the gym, my phone rang. It was the credit card company. They wanted to know about some unusual transactions. I could hear the tension in the woman's voice on the other end of the line, even though she was being polite. "Sir, we've noticed some transactions that don't quite match the usual spending pattern. Can you confirm if these were authorized?" I wasn't surprised. Anna had been moving money around for weeks, small amounts, enough to be unnoticeable, but not enough to go unnoticed forever. I had been watching the patterns, tracking the accounts. It was all too clean, too calculated. I felt a slight buzz in the back of my head, but I didn't let it show. The transactions? I already knew about them. "No, they're not authorized," I said, keeping my voice steady. "They're fraudulent. I'll get it sorted out on my end." The woman asked a few more questions, but I kept the conversation short. She wasn't asking me anything I didn't already know. I thanked her and hung up. I didn't even glance at Anna when I heard her footsteps downstairs. She was still fuming, still trying to figure out what went wrong. She was on her phone, checking bank statements, and scrolling through the gym's app. But I didn't care. By now, I'd been keeping track of every move she made, every swipe of her cards, every transfer. I'd seen it all. How she'd been hiding money in offshore accounts. How she'd been pulling funds from our joint account without me knowing. It wasn't a blow-up. It wasn't a fight. It was just small, methodical moves, one after another, like a puzzle I was piecing together in real time. The more I watched her scramble, the more I knew she was losing control. But I didn't rush to expose it. I wasn't angry. I wasn't ready to make a scene. I was patient, just waiting for the right moment. And while she was stressing over it all, I kept doing what I was doing. Little changes. More account shifts. Nothing that would make her suspect what was happening. Just small, subtle moves to keep myself safe. To breathe. Anna's discomfort was growing, and I didn't need to do anything more than stay calm. The walls were closing in on her, and she didn't even see it coming. A few days later, Anna's meltdown came in waves. She came home early, her face flushed with anger and panic. She slammed the door behind her and went straight to the kitchen, yanking open drawers, searching through the pile of bills and papers on the counter. I watched her, my hands steady on the newspaper I was reading. "My card's been declined," she said, her voice sharp, like she was already looking for someone to blame. "I called the bank, but they said there's nothing they can do." I didn't respond. I knew she was waiting for me to say something, but I wasn't in a rush. She tried another card. Declined. Then another. Declined. The more she tried, the more frantic she got, like the ground was slipping out from under her. "I need to know what the hell is going on, Mike." That's when she stormed into the kitchen, her eyes wild, angry. I stayed calm, just like I'd been doing for days. "What did you do?" she demanded, standing in front of me. Her voice was trembling now, like the cool, collected exterior was slipping away. "You've been messing with the accounts, haven't you? Sabotaging me." I looked up from the paper slowly, not a hint of emotion on my face. "Sabotaging you?" I asked, my voice even. "No, I've been simplifying things." She stared at me, her chest rising and falling with each breath. Her face was flushed, but I didn't flinch. I set the paper down, folding it neatly, and looked at her. "I moved the savings into my name," I said, my tone cold, neutral. "The joint accounts are yours to deal with now." She froze, the words hitting her like a slap. For a second, she just stared at me, wide-eyed, her mouth opening and closing as if she couldn't find the words. "You what?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I moved the savings. All of it. It's mine now," I repeated, calm and unbothered. "The joint accounts? Yours to handle. I've taken care of everything for years. It's time you took care of this." Her face twisted, a mix of shock, disbelief, and anger. Her whole world, everything she thought she controlled, was slipping away from her in that moment. She didn't know what to do. "You can't." She took a step toward me, her hands shaking. "You can't just." "I can." I cut her off, my voice firm. "I've been the one carrying all of it. I've been doing it all for years. The house, the kids, the bills, your lifestyle. I've kept quiet, Anna. I've kept my head down. But I'm done being invisible. This is about trust, and I'm done trusting you with everything." Her eyes narrowed. The anger was coming back, but it wasn't the same. There was a crack in her confidence, a crack I could see clearly. "You think this is about money?" she spat, her voice rising. "You think I'm the one who's been playing games with the bank? You've got some nerve." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "No," I said flatly. "It's not about money. It's about control, and I've given you too much of it." She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but it was too late. The power had shifted, and she was starting to realize it. I stood up then, walking past her. I didn't look back. "I've been invisible for a long time," I said quietly, heading toward the door. "I'm not anymore." The silence in the room felt suffocating. I didn't need to watch her process the words. I knew she would. She had no idea how to react, but I wasn't going to wait for her to figure it out. I stepped out of the room, leaving her standing there, stunned. A few days passed, and Anna tried to get some help, though it was clear she wasn't ready for what was coming. She went to a lawyer, all frantic, thinking she could talk her way out of everything. I heard her arguing with the lawyer on the phone, trying to explain how I had sabotaged her. They weren't buying it. They asked her for evidence, something concrete. But her finances were a mess. No clear records, no real paperwork to show for it. I knew she wouldn't get anywhere with them. I knew how this worked. She was scrambling, trying to patch things up with people who didn't care about her lies. They wanted facts, not stories. Meanwhile, I was doing something about it. I reached out to someone I knew from my past, an old contact, someone who used to work with me when I did odd jobs for a financial firm. His name was Greg. He was a forensic accountant. He had a knack for digging through financials and finding patterns where others saw nothing. We met at a coffee shop one afternoon. I gave him the basics, just enough to let him know what I needed. He didn't ask many questions, just nodded and agreed to help. "I'll need access to everything," Greg said, his voice low and matter-of-fact. "Bank accounts, credit statements, any investment records. The works." I told him I'd get it to him by the end of the day. A week later, Greg sent me a report. He laid everything out in detail: patterns, accounts, the whole mess. I sat down with the pages in front of me, flipping through them slowly. Anna had been siphoning money out of our joint accounts for years, small amounts at first, then larger transfers as she got more brazen. She'd moved it into secret personal investments, some legal, most not. There were offshore accounts, dummy corporations. She'd even set up fraudulent transfers to cover her tracks. I felt no surprise. I had already known something like this was happening, but seeing it all laid out on paper, seeing her full web of lies and deceit, was a different kind of hit. I felt a knot in my stomach, but it wasn't rage. It was something quieter, colder. I kept reading. There were more accounts, more transfers. She had even started taking money out of the kids' college funds. Small, incremental amounts, just enough that it wouldn't trigger any alarms. It was meticulous, well planned. She had built this for years, layer by layer, with no regard for what it would do to me or the family. When I was finished, I set the report down on the kitchen table and leaned back in my chair. Greg had done his job. He had found everything I needed, everything I wanted to know. There were no questions left. No doubt. But I wasn't ready to do anything with it yet. I wasn't going to confront her now. No, I was going to wait. The longer I held on to this, the stronger the impact would be when it hit. I took a deep breath and filed the report away. I knew I couldn't let it stay in my head forever. I needed time to think, to plan the next move. I wasn't angry. Not yet. But I could feel the tension building, like the tight string of a bow being pulled back, just waiting for the release. I wasn't going to make any moves until I was sure I had everything in place. Until I had her right where I wanted her. It was all a matter of timing now. I left the binder on the kitchen table that night, tucked neatly among the piles of mail and unpaid bills. The weight of it felt right. It was everything she'd hidden, every lie and stolen dollar, laid out in black and white. Bank statements, spreadsheets, a summary of her hidden accounts. All the little ways she had funneled money away from our family and into whatever schemes she'd been running. I didn't say anything to her when I left it there. I didn't need to. I just wanted her to see it, all at once. I wanted her to know that I'd known for weeks, that I'd been waiting. She came downstairs later, tired from a day that had stretched long into the evening. She didn't notice the binder at first, her mind still preoccupied with whatever else she had going on, but it didn't take her long. She walked into the kitchen and stopped dead in her tracks when she saw it. The binder sat there like an open invitation, its edges sharp and clean. For a moment, she didn't move. Her eyes flicked between the binder and me, trying to read my face, but I kept it neutral. No expression, no words. Finally, she reached for it. I didn't say anything as she flipped open the first page. The rustling of the paper sounded louder than it should have, but I could hear it, sharp and clear. She didn't get through more than a few pages before her breathing hitched. I could see her face change, the blood draining out of it slowly, as the reality of what she was looking at began to sink in. I stayed quiet. I didn't need to speak. She was figuring it out on her own. She turned the pages faster now, her fingers shaking. She kept looking up at me, searching for some kind of reaction, but I gave her nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. I just watched. The silence stretched on. I watched her flip through each page, each piece of evidence, until she stopped on the summary at the end. The weight of everything in that one summary hit her harder than the individual statements had. Her hands dropped, the binder falling open on the table between us. "Mike," she whispered it, like she was trying to find some way to undo what she had done. I didn't say anything. I wasn't angry. I wasn't disappointed. I was just calm. She looked up at me, her mouth opening and closing like she was searching for the words. But there were no words left. I'd been watching her, waiting, quietly patient. Not a single confrontation, not a single word of warning. I let her dig her own hole, and now it was time to see if she could climb out of it. She stared at me, eyes wide, the reality of everything finally hitting her. I watched the panic flicker in her gaze, then the recognition. The full weight of the situation settled in. She wasn't the one in control anymore. Her mouth twisted, and she tried to gather herself, to find something to say, some way to justify what she'd done. But the words wouldn't come. I didn't, she stammered, but it didn't matter. I still didn't speak. I wasn't going to give her that. She didn't deserve the chance to talk her way out of it. The silence stretched. She was the one who had to carry the burden now, not me. Finally, she lowered her head, defeated, her shoulders sagging. The mask she'd worn so long was gone. She wasn't the confident, put-together woman she'd pretended to be for years. Now, all I saw was someone who'd been exposed, someone who realized she was trapped by her own actions. I waited, giving her space to process it. She didn't look up. She didn't say anything. I stood up then, walking toward the door. I'm not doing this anymore, I said, my voice steady. I've been invisible long enough. Her eyes flicked up to meet mine, but there was no fight left in her. Just silence. I didn't need to say anything else. The truth was out. It was all there, in front of her. And I wasn't about to give her the chance to pretend anymore. For the next few days, Anna tried everything to claw her way back, but nothing worked. She started by calling her mother. I could hear her pacing around the house, speaking in a low voice, probably expecting some kind of sympathy. But her mother didn't give it to her. I overheard part of the conversation. Mom, you don't understand. Mike's gone too far. He's trying to destroy me. Her mother's voice was sharp, too. I'm not saying he's right. But what exactly did you expect, Anna? You've been running a mess for years. Did you think he wouldn't notice? Anna's tone wavered. I didn't. Are you really the victim here? Her mother cut in. I think it's time you start facing what you've done. That was all I heard before Anna hung up. She didn't call her mom again after that. She tried calling her friends next. One by one, they stopped answering. At first, they gave her the usual excuses. I'm busy. I'll call you back later. But after a few days, the calls stopped altogether. It was like a slow, quiet shift. The ones who had always praised her, who'd told her how brilliant she was, now wouldn't even acknowledge her. I knew this was happening, of course. She'd been so used to her social circle feeding her ego, surrounding her with people who would look the other way when she messed up. Now, with the reality of her actions out in the open, they were slowly pulling back. It wasn't a loud rejection. No one was confronting her directly. They were just disappearing. She'd still try to keep up appearances around the house, like she was in control, but I saw through it. Her fake smiles, the forced laughs when she tried to act like everything was fine, none of it worked. I stayed quiet. I didn't need to say anything. Her calls kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. She reached out to a few of the women from the dinner party, trying to salvage her position, but the texts I overheard were all the same. Polite, distant. I'm sorry, but I'm tied up with work. By the end of the week, I could feel the shift in the air. She was no longer the woman who'd walked into that dinner party full of confidence. The silence in our house grew heavy. She'd retreated into herself, trying to figure out how to get back what she'd lost. But it was gone now. Her friends, her status, even her own sense of control. I didn't do anything. I didn't need to. I watched her try to piece things together, her pride slowly crumbling. There was nothing left for her to stand on. Her friends had scattered. Her mother had questioned her. All the people who used to prop her up were gone, and it was just her now, standing alone with the mess she'd made. And I stayed quiet. I didn't even look at her when she finally confronted me. The silence between us spoke louder than any argument could. It was the silence that drove her crazy. Anna tried one last thing. She called up a few of the friends who'd been avoiding her, pretending like nothing had happened. She invited them to a lavish dinner, something she hoped would put her back in control, remind everyone of the life she used to have. She ordered everything, champagne, appetizers, the finest cuts of meat, like she had some kind of power left. The restaurant staff hovered around her, making sure everything was perfect. She was trying so hard to hold it together, to show them she was still the one in charge. But when the bill came, that old, familiar sinking feeling hit again. She swiped her card with a smile that faltered when the card was declined. I could see it all play out from here, even though I wasn't there. She tried another card. Declined again. The polite smile melted into something colder, more desperate. Her friends were watching her now, their eyes darting between her and the growing pile of unpaid bills on the table. There was no laughter this time, just a heavy silence that made everything worse. Her face flushed. She laughed awkwardly, trying to salvage what was left of her dignity, but it wasn't working. Not anymore. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling. She was going to call me, I could tell. She needed someone to save her, someone to fix it. But when she pressed the screen, the call wouldn't go through. She tried again and again, but each time, the call was blocked. The realization hit her like a wave, one that drowned out everything else. She was completely powerless. There was no way back from this. No way out. She stared at the phone screen for a long time, the glow of it casting a harsh light on her face. The people she'd surrounded herself with were watching her now, not with pity, but with something colder, recognition. They saw what she was now. They saw the cracks, the collapse. She was no longer the woman they'd admired. The illusion was gone. I wasn't going to rescue her. I hadn't been trying to. I'd let everything unravel slowly, methodically, without lifting a finger to stop it. I had taken everything, her control, her power, her image, and I hadn't had to fight for any of it. She had lost everything. In the silence that filled the space between her and her friends, she understood. Finally. And that was the worst part. It wasn't the embarrassment, the humiliation of the moment. It was the realization that it had all slipped through her fingers. The silence stretched on. The final sound was mine, though I wasn't there to say it. I had taken everything, and I wasn't going to say a word.